Today's top stories. President Duterte signs the 2019 national budget but vetoes certain items not prioritized by the president. The Department of Energy says there is enough electricity throughout the Holy Week. President Duterte plans to create a new peace panel to oversee localized peace talks. And a massive fire hits Paris' historic monument, Notre-Dame.
Good day. I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte has signed the 2019 General Appropriations Act, allowing the government to implement the administration's ongoing programs. The president, however, vetoed a sizable amount of the budget that was the cause of the delay in its approval and signing. Rom Dulfo tells us more.
After long delays in its passage, President Duterte has finally signed the 2019 General Appropriations Act, or GAA. Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldea and Presidential Spokesperson Sal Panelo confirmed the signing of the budget at Malacañang Palace. Panelo says the newly signed General Appropriations Act is a reflection of the Duterte administration's priorities. Meanwhile, Medaldea says the president vetoed 95.3 billion pesos worth of appropriation since they are not part of the president's priority projects. Among these are allowance and benefit for teachers, funding for foreign-assisted projects, and financial assistance to local government units or LGUs. Earlier, Senate President Vicente Soto III said he will support a presidential veto of the entire national budget if the latter should find irregularities in the measure. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
More buses are deployed to pick up passengers affected by the shutdown of the MRT. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, gave special permits to 160 more bus units to transport passengers along the MRT line. This after the MRT operations are suspended until April 21st or throughout the Holy Week for maintenance. These buses will be operating from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. along the MRT line from April 15 to 17 and April 20 to 21. Bus stations in Metro Manila are bracing for the influx of commuters traveling to the provinces for Holy Week. At the Araneta Center bus stations, as much as 8,000 passengers are expected to show up during the rest of the Lenten season. Anthea Oarde has the story.
At the Araneta Center bus station, thousands of passengers are lining up for trips to the provinces since Palm Sunday. Most bus trips are fully booked and lines are long. Some have reserved their tickets while others are chance passengers. This is but a small inconvenience for travelers as they continue to wait for the opportunity to return or have their Lenten breaks in the provinces.
Gaya ng dati sa probinsya ang paggunita ng Semana Santa. Kasama mga pamilya, buong pamilya. Sa probinsya talagang ang paggunita.
Sa Bicol na lang kanang mahal na araw. Maguni-guni ng mga kasalanan. So na lang sa Bicol, sa akit ng bundok para makapag-ilay-ilay.
The management of the Araneta Center bus station is coordinating with authorities in ensuring the safety of passengers and the reliability of buses. Aside from tightened security augmented by the PNP, PDA and transportation personnel make their rounds to inspect buses and make sure drivers and conductors are fit to travel. First aiders are on standby in case of medical emergencies. Some passengers express their confidence in being able to travel safely.
Komportable naman po kami kasi ito naman po parating sinasakyan namin. Kaya napaka-safe talaga ng biyahe namin. Enjoy kasi family kami magkaasama.
As much as 8,000 passengers are expected to take their trips at the Araneta Center bus station throughout the Holy Week. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Anthea Oarde.
Oil companies added crosses to bear for motorists this Holy Week as oil price products went up. Sea Oil, Petrogas, PTT Philippines, Petron, and Flying V increased price of their gasoline products by 1.5 pesos per liter and diesel by 75 centavos per liter. Prices of kerosene also went up by 60 centavos per liter in Sea Oil, Petron, and Flying V. The Department of Energy traced these upsticks to the production cuts by major oil-producing countries, the rebound of China's exports last March, and the U.S. sanctions on Iran and Venezuela. The Department of Energy, or DOE, is expecting a stable power supply as electricity reserves in the Luzon grid are expected to register higher this week. Energy Undersecretary Felix Fuentabella says power supply will likely improve during the Holy Week due to low demand and the return of power plants that went offline. The DOE is also pushing for the entry of additional power plants, such as those from Therma Mobile Incorporated and Millennium Energy, to ensure adequate power during the May elections. The Supreme Court suspends work for the Holy Week, and over 50 bus drivers and conductors fail mandatory drug tests. More on these and other news around the metro from Janice Cabe.
The Supreme Court announced its modified work schedule for the Holy Week, starting with a half-day work on Wednesday. Chief Justice Lucas Bersamin has ordered a half-day work schedule on April 17 for the Supreme Court and for all courts nationwide. The SC en banc has recently terminated its summer session in Baguio City to go on a decision-writing break and will resume regular session in June. Meanwhile, a police was caught in an entrapment operation in a restaurant in Baguio City. The suspect, identified as Police Lieutenant Colonel Alan Docyogen, was arrested after he allegedly received 50,000 pesos cash from a robbery suspect. He was also reportedly forced the complainant to give him some of his property by signing a deed of sale. Docyogen is now facing criminal and administrative charges. In other news, 53 public transport workers tested positive for illegal drug abuse based on the results of PDEA's Oplan Holy Week. Out of the 53 employees, 35 were bus drivers, 17 were bus conductors, and another one was a dispatcher. They were screened positive for the use of methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, President Duterte calls on all sectors to join a whole-of-nation approach to address conflicts and promote peace. The PNP is set to investigate those behind the Bicoy videos. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
The real problem of Manila Bay is garbage. Napabayaan yung garbage. The battle now is the battle not in the bay itself, but the source of garbage, which is the estero. The mission that we will be undertaking in these esteros and the river is to restore the width and the depth of the river. you manage your barangay as it is stated in your mandate. This will be your most important mission as barangay captain.
President Rodrigo Duterte rallied the government, private sector, and all Filipinos in a whole-of-nation movement to address conflicts and build a culture of peace and development throughout the country. At the first meeting of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, President Duterte approved a national plan that would integrate and harmonize efforts in delivering goods and services, as well as providing for peace and security, especially in conflict-affected communities. The president also assigned specific cabinet members to oversee the peace and development efforts in every region of the country. Another priority is the implementation of the national Wi-Fi and 911 projects in all barangays nationwide. The Philippine National Police has ordered the anti-cybercrime group to look for the people behind the Bicoy videos, which purportedly links the Duterte family to illegal drug operations. A fourth video was released online accusing Duterte in-law Man Scarpio of receiving millions of pesos from the illegal drug trade. The first video challenged presidential son Paulo Duterte and former special assistant Bongo to reveal whether they have tattoos symbolizing their membership in drug syndicates. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde says the people behind the Bicoy videos may be charged with cyber libel if they continue to issue statements online without proof. President Rodrigo Duterte plans to create a new peace panel which will oversee the localized negotiations with communist rebels. In a statement, Presidential Peace Advisor Carlito Galvez Jr. says the panel will act as an advisor for local peace dialogues through the establishment of protocols and other legal and systematic procedures. He says the government has learned its lessons from the previous formal negotiations that produced lopsided agreements. The peace advisor says this new peace panel is in line with a whole-of-nation approach stated within the Executive Order Number 70, directing the creation of a task force to end local communist armed conflict. The New People's Army has weakened in the 3rd District of Leyte after the surrender of a top leader. Months of intensified military operations against the communist rebels also led to its dispersal. According to Brigadier General Lope Dagoy, the surrender of thousands of rebels has weakened the organization this year in rebel-infested areas of Leyte province, more so with the surrender of NPA leader and combatant Rolando Tarong last March. The rebel returnees, mostly farmers, avail of the government's enhanced comprehensive local integration program. Under the ECLIP program, former rebels will get 450,000 pesos for housing, 15,000 pesos for immediate financial assistance, 50,000 pesos for livelihood assistance, 5,000 pesos for conditional cash transfer, modified conditional cash transfer, and cash equivalent to a surrendered firearm. Authorities arrest a businessman selling government-issued ammunition in Cavite. Meanwhile, 2 Abu Sayyaf supporters surrender in Basilan. Miguel Hill has the story.
In Cavite, a businessman was arrested for selling government-issued bullets. The suspect is identified as Joseph De Lima, owner of a firing range in Dasmariñas, Cavite. Authorities recovered 3,000 pieces of rifle rounds allegedly obtained from the government arsenal. De Lima will be charged with unlawful acquisition and possession of government firearms and ammunition. In Negros Occidental, a Ceres liner bus fell on its side at Purok Capayas, Barangay Pacul, Bago City, leaving a passenger dead and 40 others injured. The bus was traveling from Bacolod on the way to Barangay Maao when it swerved and fell on its side. The accident was the 3rd fatal crash involving Ceres liner buses in Western Visayas in 3 weeks. Meanwhile, two Basilan-based Abu Sayyaf group supporters have surrendered to military authorities. Jolmi Ambihal Pangili and Roma Pawaki Tapsi surrendered out of fear of becoming targets by the military. Pangli surrendered a Garand rifle while Tapsi turned over an M203 grenade launcher. The Abu Sayyaf is said to be gradually losing mass support because of the military's operation and collaboration with the local government units and peace partners. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
Up next, Australia sends monetary aid to the Philippines to augment efforts to stop online child abuse. Golf star Tiger Woods makes his comeback as he wins his 5th Masters tournament. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
The Environment, Tourism and Interior Departments recommended to close Boracay for 6 months.
To address issues such as illegal structures and faulty drainage systems that is affecting Boracay's prized beach.
The last time na nandito is 2017. It's actually crowded. Sobrang dami ng tao. Everywhere, makikita mo talaga bars and drinks and makalat talaga.
We had more cases of skin disease. We had more cases of diarrhea.
So nagkasama-sama lahat ng mga agencies, tiningnan ano ba ang plano natin sa Boracay, compliance on Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, at saka yung ating environmental compliance.
When they started demolishing, we saw that there was action, that they put their money where their mouth is.
Lahat ng nagamit na tubig ng customer, we collect it through our sewer lines, and then it goes through a treatment process sa treatment plant.
It was nice that it happened. Finally, Boracay got the attention it is in deep need of.
I think a lot of work was done during the closure. The water is clear, the oceans are clean, there seems to be a lot of wildlife returning. We had for the first time in 10 years, we had turtles hatching on the beach a couple of days ago.
During the closure, you could see like the eagles came back and everything that we have had for a long time.
Pumasyal pa nga yung mga kwan dito Budanding, galing ho na Cebu.
In the end, it's a good thing, yes. It was hard for us, but it was also a wake-up call.
The beach was cleaned up and is officially set to reopen on October 26th.
Wala nang kumakain sa beach, bawal nang manigarilyo.
Gumanda yung isla namin as in bumalik sa dati na ambience.
We teach kids about pollution, solid waste management, because they're the ones who will sustain all the things that we're doing now.
And in our foreign news, a massive fire broke at the iconic Notre-Dame Cathedral in Paris, France. The fire swept through the church and destroyed most of the roof and toppled the spire. About 400 firefighters worked to put out the fire that lasted for 5 hours. They managed to save the cathedral's main structure and 2 towers as the fire was put under control. Hundreds of Parisians and tourists went to the banks of the Seine to watch and offer prayers as the blaze engulfed Notre-Dame. President Emmanuel Macron says the cathedral will be rebuilt with their best talent available. Meanwhile, Malacanang has offered thoughts and prayers for the victims of the incident. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the palace is deeply saddened and bothered by the blaze which engulfed the 850-year-old cathedral. Panelo sympathized with the pain and sorrow felt by the millions upon hearing the catastrophic fire of the place of worship. He also expressed support for the government of France as it rebuilds the iconic cathedral. The Australian government is providing about 298 million pesos for 6 years to fund an anti-online child abuse project in the Philippines. The initiative, called Safer Kids PH program, will provide grants to the Australian Federal Police and a UNICEF-led consortium that includes Save the Children Philippines and the Asia Foundation. Australian Ambassador to the Philippines, Stephen Robinson, says this funding reflects Canberra's commitment to assist Manila in addressing and preventing online sexual exploitation and abuse of children. Stevenson is optimistic that this new program would deepen engagement of key partners with the government in strengthening the country's child protection systems. The National Baseline Survey on Violence Against Children show that at least 1 in 2 children aged 13 to 17 have experienced cyber violence in the Philippines. In sports, the Arnis team of Tacurong City Sultan Kudarat ruled the World Stick Fighting Tournament recently held in Cebu City. The city's 15-man team bested other athletes from 11 countries in the first Philippine Eskrima Kali Arnis Federation World Invitational Competition held on April 6 to 8. The team took home some 15 gold medals, 17 silvers, and 19 bronze medals. The first ever international event at the Sky Park of SMC Side City, Cebu, involved about 220 stick fighters from the Philippines, China, Korea, India, Iran, Mexico, USA, Qatar, Oman, Belarus, and Russia. Tiger Woods has made his comeback. The golf star won the Masters for the 5th time last Monday, Manila time. Woods became Masters champion at 43, the oldest since Jack Nicklaus won at 46 in 1986. This is Woods' 15th major, leaving him 3 short of the gold standard set by Nicklaus. This is also his first major win after nearly 11 years. Celebrities such as Serena Williams, former U.S. President Barack Obama, Kobe Bryant, and even President Donald Trump took to social media to congratulate the sports icon. Woods suffered from blows on his career due to a sex scandal, a divorce, an arrest for driving under the influence, and numerous back injuries that nearly left him debilitated. Sports analysts said his return to the Masters and his victory earned Woods his much-needed redemption. Clearing operations continue in Marawi City's most affected area. Task Force Bangon Marawi vows to finish clearing the debris as soon as possible so that residents would return to the city. Sweet Lukman from the PIA has the story.
10 displaced homeowners from Barangay Sangkay Dansalan personally came following an invitation by the Task Force Bangon Marawi Interagency Committee on Debris Clearing to witness the demolition of their houses in accordance with existing laws and guidelines. One of the homeowners, Noraisa Kalandada, turned emotional while seeing their ancestral house being crushed to the ground by wheel excavators.
Masakit kasi pinaghirapan ng magulang namin.
However, Noraisa agreed to demolish their house because she sees it as practical choice.
May tiwala po kami sa ating presidente kasi sira na yung bahay namin. Problema pa yung paano i-demolish. Mas mabuti i-demolish para walang problema.
During the recent TFBM public consultation and dialogue, TFBM Chairperson and Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario promised the Marawi IDPs to finish the debris clearing inside MAA in August this year and allow displaced residents to return and rebuild their homes on the first week of September. The repair of the least affected areas of MAA might even start as early as July and slowly will allow residents to go back to their homes, Del Rosario assured. The Marawi Rehab Char also urged the displaced homeowners to give their consent for the Interagency Committee on Debris Clearing to demolish their houses to avail themselves of free government services. Otherwise, they will have to personally shoulder the demolition costs. Displaced residents from MAA are not yet allowed to return to their homes because there are 49 unexploded bombs still being recovered by the debris clearing contractor as assisted by the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Together with Wilnard Basilonia, for PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
President Duterte signs the 2019 national budget but vetoes certain items not prioritized by the president. The Department of Energy says there is enough electricity throughout the Holy Week. President Duterte plans to create a new peace panel to oversee localized peace talks. And a massive fire hits Paris' historic monument, Notre-Dame.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.